Hello friends, my name is Brigadier Vivek Chhatre. I'm an advocate and a consumer activist. This video is about one of the biggest scams of the consumer rights in this country. The difference between other scams and this scam is, in this scam, the currency is of the resort rooms. It is not cash. It is essential to understand what were the promises made by Club Mahindra Holidays to its consumers. Basically, the promise says, you buy my membership, I will give you assured accommodation for 1 week in the choice of your destinations in my resorts. That is the first promise. And the second promise is, you, the consumer, should give them money to maintain these resorts. That amount which is being given for maintenance, which is called as annual subscription fees, the ASF, will be utilized only for maintenance of the resorts and will not be utilized for anything else. So these were the two promises which were made while selling the membership. 3 points in this video. First is, what were the rules of the game? The second point is, the resort rooms, who were the actual users of these resort rooms? And the third was the manner in which money was collected for maintenance and it was expended on maintenance. What is the size of this scam? Yes, the scam involves wrongful gains by two means. One is by sale of these rooms to non-members, and second by the diversion of the money you have paid for ASF. I have been able to quantify the wrongful gains that were made in 10 years, which has been mentioned by the company themselves in their annual reports. And that works out to for rupees 403 crores from the year 2010 to 2020. Of course, one needs to go back since the time they started this business, sometime around 1996-98, and after 2020 also, to quantify the exact amount of wrongful gains which have been made. So, what were the rules for running the timeshare industry? There are certain guidelines which have been specified by the Ministry of Tourism. What do the guidelines say? For sake of simplicity, let's say that you have got only one room and you promise to rent out that room to one user for 1 week every year. So it is obvious that you can make a promise to only 52 people, assuming that that room is available right throughout the year. And you can't make a promise to a 53rd person because there are only 52 weeks in a year. So similarly, now let's take an example that let's assume that Mahindra Holidays had only 10 rooms all over the country. So they were entitled to sell the membership only to 520 members and not more. However, what has happened actually? Not only the membership has been sold to 1000 people, there are large number of corporate users also who have been sold this membership, and they have been given this on point system. So, infinite number of membership has been sold against a finite number of rooms. This is the first issue. Then the company has also gone on to make certain declarations and admissions as to how they are supposed to conduct their business. These admissions were made in the year 2007, 2009 and 2013 when they wanted general public to buy their shares. In the draft red herring prospectus, they have made these admissions wherein they have clearly stated that we cannot sell the membership to infinite number of people. The membership can be sold only to the number of resort rooms which are available with us. And even if you take that the promise was made in 2013 and the membership is being sold for 25 years, thus that promise is actually valid till 2038. But now, when they have been questioned by the NFRA, they go on to state that that time we had made certain declarations. Now our business purposes and our intentions have changed. So the statements which we made when we went to the public at large and promised something are not valid anymore. The next thing you need to understand is how were these rooms allotted to members. They state that they have made an online booking system. They have issued a set of rules to the members, and as per these rules, a member can book even one day prior. So today, if I decide that I have to go to Goa, I can book a room in Goa tomorrow. That was the whole purpose of this membership. Now here, on the quiet, they made a rule which says that allotment of rooms will be subject to eligibility and availability. Let me explain this with a very simple example. Let us say a father and a son, they have a contract. The father tells the son, ki, okay son, you are going to behave, and if you behave, at the end of the day, I am going to give you one chocolate. So the son behaves throughout the first date of the month, he gets a chocolate. On second, he also gets a chocolate. On third, he gets a chocolate. On fourth, he doesn't get a chocolate. And thereafter, for later part of the month, the chocolates are simply not given. So obviously, the son is going to ask the father, Dad, where are my chocolates? So that time, the dad tells the son, look son, we had a contract, and that contract was subject to the availability and eligibility for the chocolates. And today, the chocolates are not available, so I can't give you a chocolate. So in the first place, when the dad made this kind of a promise, it was the duty of the dad to ensure that he had adequate number of chocolates available with him. So here, it was the contractual obligation of Mahindra Holidays to ensure that first of all adequate number of rooms are available. Fine, it might happen that for a particular destination there is excessive demand. They have collected money from you under two heads. The first head is the membership fees, which is supposed to be utilized either to construct new resorts or to lease resorts. So let us say if in Goa there is an excess demand, who has stopped them from leasing additional resorts in Goa? Let's say even after leasing, they don't have adequate number of rooms. They are welcome to buy it from the open market. As a consumer, you have given them advance money for 25 years. What stops them from hiring a room of the same specifications from the open market and giving it to you? So this is where they factored in the rule and they said, no, you have signed, it is you who have signed that the accommodation will be given subject to eligibility and availability. You have completed your part of the promise, that was to give them the money. Money has been given, it is now their obligation to outsource a room if rooms are not available and make it available to you. So this is where they are trying to use this rule of subject to eligibility and availability to gain unfair advantage. Now comes the second point. Who are the actual users of these rooms? They made a booking system. When you go to a particular site, let's say you go to Mahabaleshwar and you check, the system only tells you that either there is a waiting list or it is fully booked. And in rare occasions, it says available. Let us assume that about 25% of members got the room of their choice. For others, they said that it is a waiting list. So you wait, you can take it subsequently in the same year, or you can use the rooms which are entitled to you even up to the next 2 years. So you said, okay, fine, I can't go now. As a good consumer, you said, it's okay, now I can't go. Let me check some other time. And that some other time spilled up to the next year or even to the next year. And when this was happening, what were they doing? They were selling the same rooms for corporate events, for weddings. The same rooms were available on booking.com and on agoda.com and so many other sites. So some of these members, these 25% members who were lucky to get the booking, when they reached the resort, they noticed that 50 to 75% of the people who were present in the resort are non-members. And to add insult to injury, the non-members told them that we have not only got a room, it has been given to us with free breakfast. And whereas a large number of members, first of all, they did not get the room, and even if they got the room, they had to pay astronomical price for breakfast. The basic issue was who has been using these rooms. Mahindra Holidays for the last 2.5 years has refused to tell even the highest courts in this country how many rooms they have got for the members. And here is another deceit which is being played out blatantly. They say that they have got over 80 resorts. They never specify the number of rooms. And out of these 80 resorts, about 20 to 30 of them, some have got 5 rooms, some have got 10 rooms. And then another fantastic logic is being given. They say, fine, you don't want to holiday in India, we'll give you a room in Thailand, we'll give you a room in Cambodia, we'll give you a room in Austria, in Finland, or wherever. And what they are hiding is, to get this room, first of all, you have to surrender the entitlement of your room here in India. And you have to pay a hefty exchange fee, which goes to 15 to 20,000 rupees to book these international destinations. And they are trying to tell the consumers that, look, these are the rooms available. These rooms internationally were never part of the plan. What rooms were part of the plan was, whatever advance has been given, against that they have to give free assured accommodation at your destination, choice of your destination. So this is how the scam was being played, and then added with this business of subject to eligibility and availability. So how did the poor consumer suffer? On day one, he did the booking, he found a waiting list. He said, okay, fine, I'll not go now, I'll go some other time in the year. That some other time in the year also he didn't get the room. Then he said, fine, the Mahindra Holidays told them, we are banking 7 days in your kitty and you can avail it next year also. Next year again the same thing happened. The entire room inventory was never offered in the booking system, and this person didn't get the booking in that year also. Then that year also he accumulated 7 days. So he had 14 days in his kitty. He comes to the third year, and again in the third year the same drama repeats. So at the end of the third year, he has got 21 days in his kitty without availing a single day. And then comes the next most important rule. They say that anything in excess of 21 days, which is in your kitty, will lapse. So on one hand, they themselves have gone ahead and created this scarcity of accommodation. And on the other hand, they state that after 3 years, anything in excess, for the fourth year, whatever 7 days you are going to be credited in your account, for which you have already paid in advance. If you get these 7 days, the 7 days of your first year will lapse. They created a scarcity of rooms, and thereafter they went on to seize your inventory. And this is how the scam has been designed to run in perpetuity for the entire term of your 25 years membership. And along with this was the caveat that they say, fine, I want to Goa. No, today Goa is not available. I suggest you go to Maldives. What is hidden behind is for Maldives, you have to pay 15 to 20,000 rupees per day. Why should you pay that? So this is how the whole scam was orchestrated. Telling the consumers, look, it is not me, it is you who have signed the rule that accommodation will be subject to eligibility and availability. The Indian Contract Act on this is very clear. It says that if you don't have accommodation available in your resorts, you are simply supposed to outsource it and provide the services to the person who is contracted to buy the service. Then the third issue regarding the use of maintenance fees. Here again, I will give you a small example. Let's say your son is staying in the hostel and there is an agreement between the dad and the son. The dad tells the son, look son, I will give you pocket money, but you have to utilize it only for your studies. You can buy books, you can buy computers, you can buy any material which is connected with education. Let us say in a 7 years course. So in the second year, the son tells dad, dad, whatever money you had given me, all this has been spent. And now this year the inflation has increased. So you have to increase the maintenance which is given to me. So the dad says, okay, fine. Inflation has increased by 15%. I will give 15% more now. The third year again, the son says, no, I have finished, exhausted all my money. Now give me more money for maintenance. So again, inflation has increased 10%. So again, he pays more than 10%. And every year, the dad continues to pay more. Let us say at the end of the 5th year, finally the dad is fed up and he says, okay son, tell me how you have utilized this amount. So there the son goes on to tell the dad and says, sorry dad, I have not maintained any accounts. And later on the dad realizes that the son has not only spent the money on education, he has gone pubbing with that money, he has spent it on his girlfriends and so on. And at the end of the day, there are no accounts to tell the dad, is the first discovery. And the second discovery is all the items of education, the prices have come down. So similarly, what Mahindra Holidays has been telling its consumers is, we will collect money which will be used only for maintenance. They were supposed to account for it separately as per the accounting standards. There is no account whatsoever. And they make virtue by stating that it is connected with the consumer price index and the wholesale price index. When you go to the resort, what are the facilities that are given free to you? Your accommodation is given free to you. The daily upkeep of your room in terms of changing the bed sheets, washing the room, cleaning the room, and the overall activities, that is the arboriculture of the garden of the resort and so on. Only these are the facilities which you can utilize. For everything else you are paying. For food you are paying an astronomical sum. For every activity, whether it is mehendi or whether it is sangeet or whether it is activities for kids, you are paying. And now let us see what comprises the consumer price index and the wholesale price index. The consumer price index, 50% of it is food. 10 to 15% of it is footwear, medical and so on. Under 15-20% is education. And hardly about 3% of it is electricity. So the only nexus that the consumer price index has got with your ASF is this 2.5 to 3% of electricity. Then let's take the wholesale commodities. In the wholesale commodities also, one major group is for the food grains and so on, which is not being provided free to you. The second group good has got a limited extent some items of furniture, some items of maybe textiles and so on, which could have a very limited linkage with the ASF which you are paying. The consumer price index and the wholesale price index have got no logical nexus with the items of expenditure which are used in ASF. And the company goes on to change the rules each and every day, and now they tell the consumers कि yes, 21 days are in your kitty for which you have paid both the membership fees as well as the ASF. But since you have not paid ASF for the current year, you can't avail these 21 days. So that further adds on to this business of capturing your inventory. I am reminded of the story of the fox and the stork. When the fox invited the stork for dinner, the fox served the soup in an open platter so that the stork, his beak could not pick up anything. The same story is repeating here all over again with impunity, with disregard for laws of the land. Multiple violations of the Companies Act for which we will be knocking the NCLT soon. And the actions of the company fall foul of various criminal laws in the country. The courts protect those who are vigilant about their rights. Don't just stand on the sidelines and watch the show. Learn to fight for your rights. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.